Hi there. So, I'm Anthony. Thanks for coming by, those of you that are here. And I've been working on this painting for a little while now, and I'm going to just keep going with it today. I was working on the clouds last time. Clouds are done now. Got a base done on the mountains and, for the most part, the ground. But there's a little area over here I'm going to work on. Where there's this sort of, looks like a little frozen river kind of a thing happening. It's a slightly different color than what's going on for the rest of the image. And so it's kind of more of an aqua. So I'm going to be working on that. And I think maybe I'll be working on, there's a whole bunch of snow. It's going to be on these mountains here too. So I'm going to work on some of that also. And hopefully my audio is actually lining up with when you see my mouth move today, unlike last time. But I'm going back to the normal way that I sign on, like I did for today. So I think that's about it. I'm going to get started now. So it's going to get everything all set up on the palette a little early, just like usual. But then, of course, there was some tech stuff that happened, and it's, well, it's all right now. But I'm going to, let's see here, actually got a bunch of this paint out that I had used before and I didn't actually end up needing. I'm gonna just move this over here because it's kind of in the way right now. I'm gonna just get this out of the way real quick. Might not even really use that, but it's just over here in case I do. And then I'm gonna get out some of this aqua color for the water on the left side. Okay, and so also this color right over here, which I'm going to be moving over just to get it out of the way, right over here. This is the base I was using when I was painting the clouds up there. So again, I might not use it for anything else, but probably at some point I can use it. I'll just leave it over there. I'm just going to scrape that off real quick. Get started. Okay, so anybody that's watching, if you want to ask a question or just say hello, tell me where you're watching from, please feel free. What kind of art you like, what kind of artists are your favorite. And I think I'm gonna maybe use some a specific color that's pretty close to what I need here. Say cobalt turquoise, I think, or something. I've got a couple different ones that are similar. So I think one of those will be good. This is a color that you could mix it with certain other colors, but just having it right out of the tube is convenient, so I think I might as well just go with that. All right. And I'm also going to be getting a new palette at some point because this one's kind of scratched up. I'm going to get these lines dug in there every once in a while. They kind of accumulate and make it a little less smooth. So I don't think it's going to take too extremely long to do this little area on the left here, but part of the reason I'm doing this now is I like to work generally going from the whole big to small way of working, where you kind of do the bigger things that are just actually larger and kind of more basic first, and then you go smaller and smaller as far as things that are more detailed and less basic, and you do the most detailed parts at the very end. So I'm kind of looking at this right now, and of course there's the couple which I still have to paint in, but aside from them, the biggest thing that's not done is this area right over here, which is fairly simple. So I've got a cobalt turquoise light and a phthalo turquoise, so I'll go with the cobalt. Pretty close to what I want here. I'll have to add some cobalt blue or something to it. But actually, that's very close. Haven't used this for a little while. And I'm going to be adding some white to it. Not sure how much I'm actually going to need for this versus mixing. I mean, I'll probably need more than that, but I'm going to just try this out. A little test and see how it goes. Live like you mean it, and schmuckleberry. The corgi? What is that? Alright, so I'm going to get lead titanium here, mix into this. Getting a little concerned about my lead titanium because it's getting low, but I have one other one that actually is about the same as this, which I can use. So I think that'll hold me over for the remainder of this painting, but I definitely am going to have to order some more real soon. Okay. So I'm using the lead titanium now. I had done the entire base of the ground with just regular lead, which is a little bit warmer. So now I'm using the lead titanium, which is what I use for the clouds and for the sky because it's just a brighter white. So this is a little bit maybe lighter than I need for a lot of what's going on there. I'm gonna just actually get the color, put it on there, and then just I think I might just kind of mix it up a little bit while I'm on the surface instead of doing it more on the palette today. All right, so I'm gonna get the brush I've been using for a lot of things for this one, which is a little on the firmer side. Cleaning off the brush, and I've got a blue color on there, so any of the paint that comes through probably won't really make a difference because I'm doing something pretty similar right now. Okay, so that's a little bit dark. And there's a couple places here and there that are kind of lighter like that, or darker, I mean. Then I'm going to need most of it to be a little bit lighter. I'm just kind of seeing what really looks like the overall color I'm going to need here. Definitely changes here and there as far as being lighter or darker. I'm going to scumble this in just to kind of cover it and then go back and fine tune it. Scumbling is where you do a very thin layer like this. You just really press the brush in there hard. It's usually more of like a preliminary kind of a thing, and then you go back over it. Of course, you could use what you do with the scumbling. If you like it, you can just keep it. Especially on the edges. Sometimes people will leave sort of a rougher look like that. Definitely need a lot less paint when you're scumbling than more typical painting. This is a really bright color. It's showing up a little bit greenish on the camera, a little bit more than it should, but not too far off. Looks a little bit like, slightly like rusted copper. I'm thinking I actually probably want to add a little bit more blue into this now that I'm really looking at it. I've got this area covered more. So this is part of the reason I wanted to just scumble it like this to see what does it look like in a bigger area compared to everything else I've done. And this is a little bit maybe overly blue, what I have up on the top there, but I still have to go over that with some kind of black, dust from the mountains, and that'll cut down on the blue a lot. So I'm gonna get some more cobalt out actually. Oh, well, let's see actually. All right, what I was using was not cobalt, it was cerulean. I'm gonna just get some of that out from what I was doing before. Right over here. Okay, and a little bit of white in there, which I didn't really want, but probably not a big deal. So I'm going to just put that blue right in there on top of the other color I already have. I'm not sure if the blue I've been using actually is what I really need for this specific area, but it might be a good idea just to stick to that to keep everything from looking potentially any too different from one another. Yeah, I'm not sure if I really want that blue in there. Actually, it looks maybe a little bit more kind of dull for this one place. Maybe if I put some more of this, the other color back in there. Just kind of trying it out to see what looks good. Something that'll happen also is just by adding the titanium in there, it will tend to cool down colors that you're working with. So titanium and lead, but titanium really stands out just in that mixture. Well, I have something that's kind of in the general range of what I want. And I'm going to just cover this some more, decide about the blue, if I want to switch to a different blue or not. Yeah, I'm going to just get a different blue. This is my cobalt. I'll just try this out and see how it looks. I won't need very much compared to the other color, so not really that big of a threat as far as like if it's going to look too different. It's just one blue versus another anyway, so they're already kind of similar. Let me just try this and see how it looks. Well, it's not a huge difference from the other one, but I don't not like it. That's a double negative. You're not supposed to use those. But I think probably just as good or better, maybe a little better. You definitely don't have many real visible brush strokes when you're scumbling. You kind of see it a little bit, but not so much compared to when it's thicker. The type of board that I'm using is made by Ampersand, but the specific kind is called gesso board. And something I started doing years ago is just putting a little oil on the edge right before, well, not right before, but before I paint on it. Put some oil on there just to keep the kind of open board on the side there from kind of sucking up the oil. If you don't go over it, it'll tend to have this area on the side where it becomes a little bit more matte. Which is not really a big deal, but it can be avoided. Just better in general. I got a little bit of paint on the side here. I don't really pay too much attention to the sides of the painting. Some people will paint them a color or something, but I can at least keep it from looking, you know, sloppy. Try to at least do that. No, it's not really coming off all the way. Just try it again. Definitely interesting how in these Arctic areas how the ice becomes so blue. Of course, right here it's more of an aqua color, but any color that you can see in this small amount of kind of ice. Kind of interesting, just because you don't really see that, you know, in colder, well, areas that are not as cold. I'm not sure exactly what the reason is for it. Saw a video recently, not sure if I might have talked about this last time, but it was talking about instead of H2O, there's something called D2O, which is known as heavy water, and it's more bluish. You can see in just a little, I saw somebody had a test tube of it, and you can see just in the test tube how blue it is. Pretty weird. So the color's pretty close to what I want, so I guess I don't really have to figure out anything new to do to get the color to look right. Just a matter of getting the lighter and darker areas in there now. So I need to adjust this camera here. That's a little bit better. There's a little texture on the surface of this area. You can see some, I guess it just froze in different ways. Could be a little bit of drift of some snow or something, I don't know. Now I'm going back over this with thicker paint than what I was doing before with the scumbling, but still very thin. It's like fine for what I'm doing. Doesn't really need to be all that thick. There's sort of like a pebbly texture on this, this area right over here. I don't think I'm going to get kind of detailed enough with it to really show that, but maybe I can kind of hint at that a little bit. Muckleberry, I see you've joined on Instagram as well, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to get some more of that white out. turquoise color does well when it's mixed with white. This is when you call it tinting. Certain colors tint a little bit nicer than others. This one has like a little saturated look about it when you add the white in there. Give it a little area here that's just too blue while it's on its own, so I kind of work that in with the rest of the colors so that it doesn't look that way so much. I think I'm going to kind of hint at that sort of pebble texture by just these little marks here. Kind of give it a little bit of that look. You can have a different texture with something like this, then make it kind of interesting, especially when there's so much of the ground which is just so random looking. So if I'm doing a little bit of this area with this texture, it kind of means I have to go back over kind of all of it, on the left side at least where it's closer, and then do something over there. But not that big of a deal, so it's fine. Looking at how many dark areas there are now, which not really too many. There's a few here and there. What I have here looks pretty close to what's on the reference. I'm feeling like, I don't know if some of these shapes are a little bit standing out a little too much. A small child screaming outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Kind of funny how cats are sound kind of similar to babies. I guess the animals that are that size, it's just what they sound like. And yes, I'm calling babies animals. Oh, thanks for the green smiley. Looks like you mean it. Nice to know someone's there. Oh, thanks. think I've kind of got this area over here mostly done. Just kind of like seeing what else it needs. This is one of those things that, like a lot of the other things happening in this picture, if I didn't get everything just looking just right, probably wouldn't make that much of a difference. Just trying to get it to look like an actual real scene that we're looking at. Sometimes the little things that don't necessarily even seem to make much of a difference actually really help kind of make things look real. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy with how the clouds came out. There's one part I really like right over here, which not really even that much going on, but just went really well as far as like painting it. I didn't have to really do too much to adjust it to get it to look the way I wanted it. Well, guess I could put a few things in the ice aside from, you know, just the dog up there. Maybe there could be like a bunny rabbit down here someplace, and maybe there could be like a shoe over here, and maybe there's like a trumpet down that way someplace. I think maybe I'll do just a little bit more over here, and then that'll be about it. Penguin, well, I could put a penguin in there too. Maybe just like a real penguin that's just standing around watching them. Maybe I'll have them like just belly flopping across the ice down here. Unless you meant, you know, a penguin from the Batman. In that case, he'd be probably like, I don't know, doing a deal or something in the background. What does it mean that it's Fat Bear Week in Alaska? Is that like Alaska's version of Mardi Gras or something? Instead of Fat Tuesday? People vote on the fattest bear in the Katmai National Park. There's really not a lot to do in Alaska. I know it's Alaska and everything, but okay. Okay, well, that's interesting. It's a big deal in Alaska. This was shot in Alaska, so maybe there was some, I don't know, bear voting going on somewhere nearby when they were taking the picture. Who knows? I need a little bit more weight and then move on. Well, I'm actually looking at the part over here that we'll need to work on is actually maybe a little bit just darker. Maybe the lighter areas actually fine the way it is. I think I'm gonna maybe just like add some more of the darker color in there. I need a little bit more cobalt blue. Well, their sense of smell is 2,100 times the smell of humans. I think that's probably like most creatures. Our smell is just garbage. But that's interesting. Maybe I'm part bear. I seem to be able to smell things that other people can't smell a lot of the time. Okay, so I just need it a little bit darker like that. That might be enough for this little spot right over here. While hearing also, I have to say I'm a little surprised you chose that clown emoji, emote, whatever they call them on Hick. If that was an accident or not. Yeah, I'm thinking this is looking pretty good as far as just what I need to adjust here. I'm not going to make it any lighter anywhere, at least not over this way. It was a mistake. Well, stuck in there now. Well, you comment enough to cover it up. Not a scary clown though, it's a pretty harmless looking one. I mean, it's not like they have Pennywise in there or anything. One of the things with this area over here, bringing it down, making it darker, is that places like this right over here don't look like they kind of stand out too much. They stand out less by doing that, so it makes it look like it fits with everything else more. So that can really help have everything kind of go together better. This is another good example of how I never really know what I'm doing. A lot of the time when I'm painting things, I'll just kind of start doing stuff and whatever happens, happens. So I wasn't gonna do all this texture here, but not really all that difficult and working out, I think, pretty well. It's too dark here, but I'm gonna just kind of break it up a little bit and then add some more white just to even out what I'm doing right there. You can definitely see more texture down this way than you can up there, so this part is closer than the areas that are higher up. That's just normal with perspective. Well, I don't know if all clowns are scary. I mean, you know, John Wayne Gacy wasn't that scary. This is a little bit over the top now with the texture. I gotta just kind of like soften it a little bit. John Wayne Gacy was pretty scary. Changing my mind. So this almost has the look of kind of like the way a pool looks when there's the sort of light hitting it and the waves are rippling on the top. I guess they're not really waves, they're just kind of bumps. It's like water bumps. So it sort of has that sort of look, only very small. I'm thinking it's getting a little bit too textury down here, so I'm just gonna go back a little bit more the other way. I'm not really liking what it's doing right now, so I think I need to just make it a little bit less specific like some of the other areas. Even if it's closer, I think it's just not really liking the way it looks. Something kind of cool happening right here, but you have to be careful about the angles, that they're not too vertical. They're too vertical, they look like they're in the wrong place for this, how high this is right here compared to everything else. They need to be more sort of horizontal. All right, I'm feeling like maybe this is good enough to leave the way it is. Just looking at the edge up here, I'm gonna kind of go over it to make sure it's not ending too abruptly. My audio actually lining up with my mouth today, unlike last time. I'm going to give this a little bit more lighter color right here. I'm gonna move this over. I'm backing up a lot today. Well, just noticing there's this one little spot right here which doesn't really look like it fits in enough, so I'm making that a little bit less conspicuous. Be right back. All right, so I think this is probably fine the way it is. So I'm gonna just move on now. I'm gonna work on the mountains and putting the snow cap up on there. well, I guess it's not all capped, it's just snow. I'm gonna make a little space for it here. The mountain on the left, I just kind of put that down as a sort of a base layer, but thought it might be good enough to leave for the actual mountain, but figured I'd probably paint over it, so I'm still not really sure. Put on the snow and see how it looks. I'm going to just cover this up. This is the blue I was using for I guess those are the clouds. So I probably won't need that again, but part on the one side anyway. But in case I do, there it is. Oh, Rosh Hashanah. I guess that's why there's nobody on but you. Everybody's Jewish that normally watches me. Well, sure, that could be why. Was it Rosh Hashanah last week also? Well, anyway, I'm gonna get some white out. There's a lot less of this snow on the mountain on the left here compared to the other ones. So I can get more than that. I'm trying to like conserve this now. Still really surprised at how much I needed for the clouds and the other parts already. Well, mainly the clouds, because that was all the titanium up on the top there. It seemed like I'm hearing a lot more train than usual. Maybe there's more, I don't know, times that got added to the schedule. Do I want to use this brush or a different one? I don't know. For this, it's like maybe a different one. Oh yeah, trains are nice. I think the train horn sound is a kind of cool sound. I'm basically going to kind of clean my brush now in the paint that I was just using, because I don't really think I'm going to need this so much anymore. And this is a little bit closer to what it actually needs to get to. So since I just got my brush out of the oil, I'm going to do that to get it a little closer to the white that I want. Probably gonna just put it in the white here and have to like, nope. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just add a little more oil in there. I forgot. White's gotten a little bit underbrown, meaning it needs more oil. So, just looking at these little areas on this mountain here, see how white they really need to be. I guess they're not actually completely white. There's some places that are white, but some are a little bit darker. So compared to the clouds and all the different colors up there, just looking at what color this actually needs to be, I guess basically it should be what's going on down on the ground. As far as like if it's going to be darker, it'd be the same as all that with like the bluish shadow there. So I think I'll add just a little bit of that blue in the snowy area just to make it not completely bright white. Part of the reason for that also would be good to do that is just to keep the dress kind of standing out more than everything else. So I think I had a little bit of that blue underneath over here, but not much left now. Get a little bit out. There's a subtle difference between the sort of shadow of the clouds versus the other parts on the ground, but they become more clear when you actually have things painted in the beginning. When there's a big difference from everything, it doesn't really stand out as much, but when things get closer to being finished, it becomes more obvious if something is not the same color. Alright, so that's not a lot of blue, but that might be, I don't know, kind of enough for what I need. I don't really want it to get too dark at this point. Okay, I think this is maybe just enough. I'm gonna just try it out. So, really like everything in this painting aside from the people. This is again a place where I could just totally change where the snow is that's on the mountains there. And no one would ever really know. But I'm gonna try to keep it basically what is actually on the reference there. The more you change the reference, the more dangerous it becomes. This might be a pretty good level of darkness for the snow, or brightness. This mountain's going to look a little bit like an orca whale when I'm done with it. I mean, it's going to have more spots than that, but kind of that same type of thing where there's just like a white spot and then it's dark. Trying to keep the edge pretty clean on the snow here because just how it is, it just ends. But at the same time, it's going to make a pretty strong contrast from the white snow to the dark mountains, so I don't know if I change the magnification on my picture here. It's like I don't know if I'm making this snow the right size. I'm going to mix up a little bit more of this very light color, which is basically almost white. And one thing that's happening on this mountain here, which is not happening on the others, is it looks like the sun is just hitting this one little side here. So the snow should actually probably be lighter right there. But I just put down all this stuff right in that exact spot. It's not white. Probably would have been a good thing to think about before. Could always go back over it.
Kind of softening the edges on these shapes for the snow here. They're not as solid. I think that's better.
All right, I think that's pretty much it for that mountain. And I'm gonna just do this little area back here. Seems to be some mountains that are further away, but based on the size of the snow, that's what I was thinking it was, but from the snow, maybe not. Maybe it's just kind of like the bottom of the mountain is just kind of flattening out. I think one thing I'm gonna do, actually go back in there and add some of the white to the places where it's supposed to be in the sunlight right over here. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that right now. Actually, just add some more white on the palette for that. And it might, loud motorcycle, I might be able to just actually use some of the color put down already, make it look like shadow. And even if it's lit up here and there, for the most part, just kind of show a little bit of that shadow look on some of the snow right there. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this little area here that's kind of lit up. Oh, that's very noticeable. think that might be enough for the white. Maybe the areas that are in the sunlight. Not really very much, but you know, because it's not that much, I feel like I need to add some more because it almost looks just kind of random. So I'm going to give it a little bit more right here. I feel like that's better. I'll give it maybe just a tiny bit more over this way. Maybe kind of hard to see on camera, but maybe I should move the camera a little closer next week. This is such a big painting. All right, so I think that is maybe enough for a lighter area on the snow over there. All right, well, it's been a real party. I think that's enough for today, though. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.